All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go and talk about the evolution for solving quadratic equations. What I want to do is take you from solving linear equations and then bring you to solving quadratic equations. Because this shift, while they have a lot of similarities, there are some distinct differences. And a lot of mistakes that I see students make is not understanding where these differences are and how to apply them or approach them for when we have a quadratic. So let's go ahead and first talk about a linear equation. And we're just going to stick with some very simple, basic examples because I want to make sure we are on the right page, the same page. So in this example, I have 4x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now again, remember when we're solving a quadratic or a linear equation, we want to isolate the variable, right? And so what we want to do is identify what operations are being applied to our variable, so therefore we can undo them using the reverse order of operations as well as properties of equality. Whatever you do on one side, you have to do on the other, right? So in this example, we see you have an x, it's being multiplied by 4, and it's being added by 1. So using our reverse order of operations, the first thing we need to undo is adding or subtracting a 1, or undo the adding 1. So we're going to subtract a 1 on both sides. Now I get a 4x is equal to a negative 1. To undo multiplication by 4, I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides. And here I get x equals a negative 1/4. Now again, we can take this negative 1/4, plug it back in for x, and you can see 4 times negative 1/4 is a negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1 is going to be 0. 0 equals 0. You can see this verifies this identity here. All right, so now let's go ahead and beef it up here. So that was our linear equation. Now let's go and get into quadratics. Now, one of the first quadratics that we might bring into students would be something very similar. So instead of a 2x minus 3 is equal to 0, let's go ahead and make it a squared. Now, the important thing I want you to recognize on this problem is that we still only have one variable. And it's important. When you have only one variable, I want you to think about this as, again, just like a linear equation, using your reverse order of operations, using your inverse operations. We want to undo what's happening to our x squared, okay? So again, we see in this case, our x squared is being multiplied by 2, and it's being subtracted by 3. So now what do we do with these x squared? How do we undo x being raised to the second power? Well, just like the inverse operation of subtracting 3 was adding 3, the inverse operation of multiplying by 2 was dividing by 2, the inverse operation of squaring is going to be introducing the square root. These are inverse operations. They're going to undo each other. They're going to leave us just with x. But it's important to remember for quadratic equations, when we introduce the square root, we have to include plus or minus. So x is going to equal a plus or minus the square root of 3 over 2. Now, this might be fine for your teacher, or your teacher might have some more distinct rules, or you might see this is not an answer choice on your test. So what are some ways also we can rewrite this answer? Well, what we could also do is say, all right, it's a plus or a minus. We could distribute the square root to the top as well as to the denominator, and then recognize, hey, we have a radical in the denominator, so let's go ahead and rationalize the denominator here. And then I'm going to get another answer, same answer, just in a different format of plus or minus. Square root of 3 times square root of 2 is going to be a square root of 6 divided by 2. Okay, so that answer is equal to that, but it's a different format. So it's important to make sure you understand that. But again, when we only have one variable, ladies and gentlemen, you can apply the inverse operations. Just remember, when you solve for or use the inverse operation of the squaring, taking the square root, you have to make sure you include that plus or minus. And a lot of students forget that because we didn't do it for linear equations. We didn't need to. But for quadratics, when you introduce that square root, you have to make sure you do it. All right? All right, let's build up on this topic here. So now, what if I have not one variable, but let's go ahead and add 2 variables. And unfortunately here, ladies and gentlemen, this is where students that are dead set, they understand linear equations, they start getting confused because now we don't just have a quadratic. Now we have an x raised to the first power, right? So again, a mistake that students will make is they say, well, if I'm just going to use my inverse operations, I'll add a 5x to both sides. Then I get a 4x squared is equal to a 5x. And it doesn't matter if you're going to divide by 4 on both sides and take the square root. Guys, the x squared is equal to the square root of something with an x in it. Like we're not going to get a value here, right? So we need to think differently, or maybe not think differently. We need to understand something important that can help us solve for this when we have 2 x's. And that answer is going to come in the form of a times b is equal to 0. If a times b is equal to 0, then a is equal to 0, or b is equal to 0. This is what we call the zero product property. And it's important, right? Because if I think of like 7x is equal to 0, right? 7's not equal to 0, but we know then x has to equal 0, right? But if I have two variables, two unknowns, right? I don't know which one's equal to 0, or both of them could be equal to 0, right? So, but this is important because what we can now do is we can take a product that is equal to 0, and now we can set them into two separate equations. So in this case, you can see I do not have a product. I have 4x squared minus 5x is equal to 0. I need to create a product. Now, there's a special process that we have for taking an expression and rewriting it as a product. It starts with an F and it rhymes with tractoring. And if you're saying factoring, then ladies and gentlemen, that is correct. Now, there's a lot of different ways and techniques for factoring, but the first one we always want to recommend or always look for is factoring out the GCF, or the greatest common factor. What is the common factor or number that both of these terms that are separated by subtraction, or it could be addition, that they have in common? And hopefully you recognize that 4 and 5 do not have any factors in common, but x squared and x do, right? I can divide an x into x squared, and I can divide an x into itself, right? So the common factor is x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor that out, which is basically dividing an x out of both of those terms. So when I divide out an x in this term, I only get a 4x. When I divide x out of here, I'm just left with a negative 5 is equal to 0. Now I'm using parentheses, but it's important when you have a number outside of the parentheses that represents, or that is implied, multiplication, right? So this is x times a 4x minus 5 is equal to 0. This is important because now I have a product equal to 0, right? I don't need to be using the inverse square root and stuff like that. I have a product equal to 0. I can take this term, x is equal to 0, and this one, 4x minus 5 is equal to 0. And look what I have. This one's already solved. That's easy. X equals 0. And then I also have this one, 4x minus 5 is equal to 0. So this one's just going back to like what I did before, right? Add the 5 to both sides. 4x is equal to 5, divide by 4, x is equal to a 5/4. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be our two solutions, right? Because quadratic equations can have no solutions, they could have two solutions, or they could have one solution. But notice in this first example, it has two solutions because one is positive and one is negative. But a linear equation is either going to have one, none, or it could have infinite many, right? But your quadratic here is going to have 0, 1, or 2. Those are your options. All right, let's build upon this and let's get into a 4x squared plus 5x is equal to a 9. Now, once students understand the zero product property, they say, oh, okay, I get it. Now, if I just equal to 9, let's just apply the zero product property for everything. So they'll go ahead and factor out the x, and they get a 4x plus 5, and then equal to 9. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it's called the zero product property. Okay, I didn't write it in there, but this is called the zero product property, not the 9 product property. Okay, so this is not going to work. Can't do that. Sorry, it's a great idea, right? But it's a great thing to try, but unfortunately we can't. The main thing to understand when we're trying to solve quadratics, unless there's only one x term, but if we have another x term, the main thing I want you to understand is set your quadratic equation equal to 0. Okay, because again, we want to create the zero product property. And if it's not factorable, we could do quadratic formula, right? And again, quadratic formula though is when everything is set equal to 0. So if you have more than one term, x squared and an x, get everything to one side, so therefore it's set equal to 0. So to do that, I'm simply just going to subtract a 9 on both sides, and I get a 4x squared plus a 5x minus 9 is equal to 0. Now we have a conundrum, right? We have factoring. We can't factor out a greatest common factor. So now what we have to do is factor this into what we call a product of two binomials, if it is indeed factorable. If it's not factorable, then yes, you'd have to go ahead and use the quadratic formula. But we can't factor out a GCF. So what we need to understand about trinomials, factorable trinomials can be rewritten as a product of two binomials. Now, when we're setting up our two possibilities of factors, we need to look at what would be the first two terms that's going to multiply to give us a 4x squared. And I really only have two options, right? I have a 2x times a 2x and a 4x times an x. Both of those multiply when you apply distributive property. Both of those are going to multiply to give us a 4x squared. Now for 9, forget about the negative for a second. For 9, we could do a 3 and a 3 or a 9 and a 1, right? So we have two options. And when we're first learning factoring, right, we plug them in and you can practice and you can create a whole kind of template. But if we have really, really big numbers, that can get kind of a little crazy, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit of guess and check in my head. Now, when I'm doing guess and check in my head, what I'm simply doing is I'm saying, all right, if I plug in a factor for 9, so it could be 3 and 3, since this is negative, I'm looking for the difference of my two products for my inner and my outer to be a 5x. So I don't know why I did that. I want the inner and the outer to give me a difference of 5x. So that means one's going to be positive and one's going to be negative. So I'll show you, but this is stuff I can do in my head. And let's do a -3 and a +3. So if you think about multiplying these, well, that's actually going to go to 0. So that's actually not going to work, right? Because -6x, that's a -6x, and that'd give me +6x. So that's not going to work. But if you did a 9 and a 1 here, right? Forget about which one's positive or negative right now. If you think about this, that's going to give you an 18. That's going to give you 2. 18 and 2 have a difference of 16. We need a difference of 5. So just with some quick check, just plugging in my head, I can see that this doesn't work. Now going over here, I don't want to multiply a 4 times a 9. That's going to give me a 36, right? And then the other one would be a 1. I know that's not going to work. So I know a 9 has to go here, and then a 1 would have to go here. Now again, I want this difference to be a +5. So I don't want my 9 to be negative. I'm going to want that to be a positive, and this be a -1. Now let's again do our mental math. I know 4x times x is 4x squared. I know 9 times a -1 is a -9. Let's see if our mental math worked. 9 times x is 9x. 4x times -1 is a -4x. Positive 9x plus a -4x is a positive 5x. That, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be our factored term. So again, we have now factored it. And again, I worked through it a little bit. And you can do these, depending on your comfortability. So 4x times a x minus 1 is equal to 0. Now again, we have a product equal to 0. And ladies and gentlemen, no more taking the square root or anything like that. So now you just set both factors equal to 0. And then you can just go ahead and solve. So x minus 1 is equal to 0. In this case, I'll just work this. Subtract 9, divide by 4. So x equals a -9/4. Here, we're just going to add the 1. So x equals a +1. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is kind of our evolution from going from linear equations to solving quadratic equations. If you want some more advanced examples or more examples of me going over solving quadratic equations, then check out the description I have for you in this video, as well as the next video I have for you next. Cheers.